everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Chandana Banerjee, and today I wanted to talk to you about how to raise readers or how to inculcate the love of books and reading in your children. Whether you homeschool or whether your kids go to a traditional school, here are some simple tips or simple ways that you can introduce your kids to books early on and raise them as avid readers. And these are exactly the kind of things that we do at home in our homeschool. So let's get on. But before we get on, let me remind you to subscribe to the channel if you already haven't, and give this video a like or a thumbs up if you enjoy it. So let's get on. And here's a tiny intro about me. I am a homeschool mom, and we've been homeschooling our son for 2.5 years, and he is 7 years old. I started reading to my son very early on, when in fact he was 2 months old. And since then, I have been steadily building up a whole collection of beautiful children's books at home. And we've been reading books together, we've been looking at picture books, and we've been collecting a lot of these beautiful books. Now, this is what I've noticed while raising a son who enjoys spending time flipping through books on his own and has already started reading some of the things that he enjoys. So, number one, start your homeschool day with a basket of books. If you're homeschooling in the long run, or if you're homeschooling because of the lockdown, do create a little bit of time when you can sit together, cuddle up together, cozy up together, and read picture books. Initially, if your children are small, you may have to read to them, but as they grow up, you can also read to them and they can also read to you. In fact, even when kids grow older, that does not mean that as parents we stop reading to them. Children enjoy being read to, and this can be a bonding activity at home. Now, here are some of the books that we keep in our morning reading basket. And every morning before we start our homeschool day, I read out to my son. We read anywhere from 2 to 4 to 6 books. And now that he likes to read also, he picks up a couple of books to read to me as well. Now, here are some. Your reading basket books can be a mix of books that all of you enjoy. I would suggest beautiful picture books if your kids are small, and chapter books as your kids grow older. And your books can be both in Hindi, in English, and if you have your mother tongue, your books can be also in a mother tongue, like in Marathi, Bengali, Telugu, Tamil, whatever it is that you prefer. So here are some of the books. I'm just showing you these books as an example. It's up to you what you want to buy. Now, here is a book. My son enjoys robos, so we have a story, a Hindi story with a robo in it. These books are by Pratham Books. Pratham Books, it would be prathambooks.org. Do check out their collection. They have beautiful Hindi, English, and vernacular books. And these are so beautifully illustrated, and kids really love to flip through these. This is another book. We love the illustrations in this. I bought this book from an independent bookseller. Now, independent booksellers, I will be covering that point later, but independent booksellers often sell gently used books at a very nominal price. So if you're looking to build up a collection of books, getting these kind of books from an independent bookseller who sells gently used books is a good idea. This is another favorite. I often look at illustrations. People often ask me, what do you look for in a book when you're buying? I say I look for beautiful illustrations and cute little stories that my son and both I will enjoy. This is this series, the Harry series, is my son's current favorite, and we have about 6 books in this series. It's about Harry and his toy dinosaurs, and it's a whole set of adventures. Little boys often enjoy the Harry series, so you can take a look at these. This is another of my favorite. I love the illustrations and the simple story in it. This is again a gently used book that I bought from an independent bookseller. This is another book that we read yesterday and we really enjoyed. Again, this is a gently used book from an independent bookseller. The story is beautiful, the illustrations, the pages are glossy, the illustrations are lovely. Children often enjoy flipping through that, and in fact, if you like books, you will also like looking at these. These are a few more books from Pratham Books. I have got a whole bookshelf packed with books of all kinds, and these are just a few examples. This is another of our favorite story. It's got beautiful illustrations, like you can see. Another book publisher that I like in India is Tulika Books. They again have similar books to what Pratham has, and their stories are based in India. The illustrations are beautiful and quirky and colorful, and they are pretty much affordable. Yeah. So these were my some of the books that we read in our morning time, in our morning basket time. Another tip that I would like to share is that choose books that your kids enjoy. Like I said, my son enjoys Harry and the Dinosaurs, that series. So I have tried to collect about 6, 7 books in that series. And I also start getting books which I feel the characters of which that he will enjoy, like the witch story I saw, animal stories. Most kids enjoy this kind of thing. Now, instead of choosing only moral stories, or to read to your kids, or stories which they don't find as interesting, you can still go on and read those moral stories, but do start collecting books which they actually find a treat to look through. Another tip that I want to say is that if your kids are small, especially, look for books with beautiful illustrations. Let's face it, even we as adults, we enjoy looking through books which have beautiful illustrations, right? Just for the pleasure of looking at them. So get books which your kids will also enjoy flipping through them, instead of just a text-based books, or books with very with illustrations which don't really catch anybody's attention. Another tip would be, if your kids are small and you're wondering how to draw them into reading, don't just give them alphabet books, or those little books with just a picture of different birds and the names of birds. Those are fine for a while, but just like we enjoy eating a whole variety of food, kids also enjoy flipping through books of a whole variety. And rather than just making reading something which you associate with academics or studying, have stories. Who doesn't enjoy a good story, right? And the more you nurture this trait of reading out stories or flipping through books, the more they will develop their own imagination, the more they will enjoy getting into a world of stories. So do provide them books which are a feast to their eyes and to their minds and soul. Another tip that I would say is read aloud to your kids. A lot of people just buy books or just flip through them, and they feel that, okay, my kid is ready to read. But some kids might do that. But a lot of kids enjoy being read to. And the more you read to, children are actually even if they may not be reading at that time, or they may not be responding too much, they are like sponges. Their minds are like sponges, and they're actually absorbing everything that you're reading. The vocabulary, the story, the plot, the characters, the names, everything that you're talking about, or when you're reading the story, they are absorbing everything. And as you move on, you will notice that that kind of starts coming through as they grow older. Their vocabulary will suddenly expand. They're suddenly talking about stories. They're suddenly making up their own stories. So read aloud to your kids. And even if your kids are older, you can each read out to like you can read a book to them, they can read a chapter of their favorite book to you, and this can become a reading ritual in all. When the lockdown is over, or whenever it is safe in your area to step out, you might want to sometimes hang out at a bookshop together, or at a beautiful library together. Now, where we live in a very remote town in India, and we don't really have any bookshops around. So, even before the lockdown, we didn't have that opportunity to step out, which is why I have been curating a mini library in my home. Which brings me to my next tip, which is Start putting together a mini library in your home. Yes, books can be expensive, and but then there are so many ways to collect books. You can purchase some of your books from Amazon at full price. But then, if you go to an independent bookseller who is selling gently used books, you can even start building up a collection with that. If you have friends who have grown up children with, and they have books which they have outread, you may want to borrow those from them. And in the same way, when your kids outgrow the books you have, you can give it to your friend with younger kids. Another way to put together a library is, like I said, look at Indian publishers and get their books. Two of my favorite publishers are Pratham Books. In fact, Pratham Books are so pocket friendly that at a go you can start building up a collection of their books. Tulika is another publisher that I like. I also like the Puffin and Penguin books, written and illustrated by Indian authors and illustrators. So here are some simple ways of growing a library or putting together a library at home. Another tip that I would say is try developing the habit of reading yourself. I have seen a lot of parents nag their kids about reading, or a lot of parents come to me and they complain. I'm also a creative writing teacher, so a lot of parents complain that their kids don't enjoy reading. They would rather look at play a video game or get online than read a book. But then my question often to them is, do they read? Because kids often learn from us by, they just observe us. They see what we are doing and then they try to imbibe that habit. So even if you haven't read too much till now, you may want to start developing a habit now. Start with simple books that you enjoy. When your kids see you reading books and enjoying books, they feel, well, that's something I can try. So that's just another way of raising readers. So these were my tips, and I hope that you found them useful. I really hope that all of you can enjoy books together as a family. When you are reading, I would like to say that, reading is, even if your kids are reading stories, or even if you are reading stories to them, do not underestimate the value of stories. They may not have a moral at the end, or they may not have a set of questions at the end, or they may not be related to any academic subject. But stories can actually teach us so many things. In fact, I think I have learned so much more by reading novels and books rather than poring over my textbooks. So bring in those books and just see how your whole world expands. I really hope that these tips will help you inculcate the love of books and reading in your kids at your home. And I would say, when there are times like this during lockdown, or during times what is happening now, when we cannot step out, I think books can bring so much of happiness and joy. You cannot physically step out of your house, but you can always dive into a story, into that world of that story. So I think also, even if we keep aside homeschooling or studying, books as it is can be such an integral part of our stay at home life. If you found this video useful, do share it with a friend who might benefit from it as well. And if you have any questions about homeschooling, or about raising readers, or about inculcating the habit of creative writing in your kids, or creating a purpose-driven, joyful life at home, do leave me a question below in the comment section. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I will see you in my next video. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.